Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my video. Once upon a time I was a hoe. If you're new to this channel, hello, welcome, like, share, subscribe. And just a quick disclaimer, there is some graphic sexual content in this video, so I will put the links down below to domestic violence hotlines, suicide awareness hotlines. Okay? All right, here we go. So I left off where I was raped by the pimp's friend twice, and that I believe that was the same day that I had lied about something, and the pimp caught me in the lie and he slapped me up. So I believe all those things happened in the same day, and it was just I at that point I had been doing it like a few weeks or something, not very long, but I was definitely at my breaking point, um, just mentally, physically, I was just exhausted. So I remember my pimp was sending me out that night. Of course, the other girl, I kind of felt like she never worked, like she would, but it wasn't half as much as I was working. You know what I'm saying? So she was in the hotel room. He sent me out, and he didn't even want me to really go anywhere. He just wanted me to kind of be in front of the hotel, and that wasn't really a place to catch tricks. You get what I'm saying? That wasn't like a stroll right there in front of our hotel. So I just knew I was just going to be outside again for hours on end. I'm cold. It's dark. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired. I'm starving all the time. You got all these men fucking you. It's like you just reach your breaking point. And I remember, so he gave me his phone. It's like some little cheap phone. And the Robin had a phone as well. So I believe that's how we was getting back and forth in contact. Yeah. So he sent me out, and right across the street from the hotel, some white dude was getting arrested or whatever. The cops had pulled him over and they was talking to him. When I tell you, I ain't never been so happy in my life to see no motherfucking police officers. I booked over there. So I ran to them, and I literally pulled one of the officers aside. And it said, "Excuse me, I'm a prostitute, and I'm trying to get away from this pimp." And that officer looked me right in my face and said, "Oh, what, you and your pimp had a bad night?" And he turned to his fellow officer and they laughed. And he said, "Just have a seat over there." Okay? So my few interactions with law enforcement, have been very dismissive. So I definitely can see how a person has gone to the police multiple times and then, oh no, the bitch is dead. And now the police are like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting on the curb, I'm crying. And it's like, you have to understand, time is of the essence. My pimp is right across the street. All he got to do is come out the room. You know what I'm saying? So when officers comes to me, I'm like, just drive me out, drive me to my baby. And he was just like, we can't drive you up there. Like, we're not a taxi. So he was like, we're just going to drive you up the street. Where he drove me, I could have walked. So I remember he drove me to, it was like the trolley. That's what we call it in San Diego, the trolley. Out here, they call it the light rail. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it. The train that runs on, the street, on the ground. So he drops off at the trolley. So this is where everything, the rest of this was just God and destiny and fate, or whatever you want to call it. From this moment on, at that trolley stop was one man. Now you got to remember, this is late, so maybe around 2 in the morning or something. There was one more train coming for the night. So obviously I get to talking to this man, and somehow I tell him about Maya. So remember the hoe I was saying that was like a real famous hoe down there? Like, she was beautiful in her heyday. She was beautiful when I knew her too, but you know what I'm saying? When she was younger, she was beautiful and da-da-da-da. So I'm telling him, oh, well, I had went to jail and I met her. She's really nice. And so me and him struck up a conversation, and while waiting for this train, and he said he was moving. He was moving far. He didn't have a car. So he would take the train and move items back and forth. And he had been doing that all day. And he was like, this was just his last train to go to his hotel room. And then, tomorrow he's going to go, whatever, back home and continue moving or whatever. So I just told him my situation because, like, at this point, when you're in some shit like that, the modesty goes out the window. Like, if, like, how some people, maybe they don't have no money for no groceries or something, and they don't want to tell anybody, so they'll panhandle before they ask a friend for some money. Like, that modesty shit goes out the window because at this point I'm fighting for my life. You know what I mean? And if I don't get away from this monster, and I mean, this man here took my ID, my daughter, me and her social security cards. So I didn't even have a way to identify myself to anybody. I couldn't do anything because I didn't have any identification. So it was just, shit like that he was doing. So I remember the man at the train stop was like, okay, well, just stay with me in the hotel tonight. I did. He was a really nice guy. He didn't, of course, he knew I was the host. Of course, he asked, you working tonight? No, nigga, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Already been raped and all this other shit. Like, leave me alone. And, the crazy part about it was me and Robin would talk about running away. Now, mind you, it's not like we didn't try. This nigga would just catch us. And this nigga didn't have a car, and he didn't need one because he knew so many people. He had so many connections. It didn't matter. He can get from A to B like that. So, we would always plan to run away together, but when it's, I got a baby, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, I had to take my chance. I wasn't not going to try to run away because that bitch, was still stuck up there. You introduced me to this monster, So I'm in the hotel room with the dude that was at the train station. And so Robin's and the pimp, they're calling me. Because it's not like me to not be just checking in. It had been over an hour. I forgot. I guess I was checking in routinely or something. So they're calling. Ignoring the calls. So y'all remember the African cab driver, the one that had a crush on me that would drive me to tricks? So while I'm at the hotel with this nigga, because I'm only going to be able to stay with this guy one night, I call the cab nigga, the cab guy. So I'm like, hey, so-and-so, I need a place to stay. I ran away from my pimp. I'm scared. I need a place to stay. And I knew he was sweet on me, so I knew he would do it. So he's like, okay. So he, of course, takes me to his room. He was like living at a hotel, like it was like an extended stay type of thing. And I remember he had all these papers. I think he said he was writing a book or some bullshit. And he had all these pills. I was like taking all these pills. And at that point, when you're doing that type of work, there is no like feelings or love, or everything is like turned off. This isn't a guy or that you want to be with or anything like that. You just met this nigga 2 seconds ago. You don't even know if you're gonna leave his house alive. You know what I'm saying? So so me and the cab driver had sex, and he was like trying to kiss me and stuff, but I wouldn't let him kiss me, or I wouldn't let him do anything affectionate, And I remember after we did, he kind of fussed me out because he's like, I had like pushed him off me like, well, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? And he was just like, you don't have the love is gone. Like, he's going off, and he's telling me I don't have no emotions, no affection. Now, mind you, I'm like 20. This guy, thinking back on it, he had to be like a 40. Like, you're twice my age. Like, I'm legal. You're not doing anything wrong, but let's be real. Why are you even so involved with me? You know what I'm saying? You're just looking for a young bitch to manipulate like the rest of these motherfuckers out here. You feel me? So to him, what he didn't understand is he's thinking I'm looking at him like he's my savior. I'm looking at him like another trick. You know what I'm saying? Some tricks offer more, Some tricks give you shit, beyond money, or, you know what I'm saying? It just depends. So the next day, I checked my email for some reason because remember this whole time I don't have no phone. So this whole time I've just not been in communication with anybody. No friends, no family, no nothing, no social media, nothing. I just pretty much fell off the grid. I haven't been back to the apartment place I was at. Now, mind you, that's not like a regular apartment building. That's specifically for women and kids. So everybody knows everybody there. You have to check in with the desk real quick, so they could just keep a general login. So at this point, I'm missing. I'm just missing. So I checked. I got an email from my mom, which was weird and random. And the email says the police are looking for you and your daughter. The police and the FBI are out looking for you. So I'm freaking the fuck out. Like, I'm not even thinking how dumb that sounds. Not that the police can be looking for me, but the Federal Bureau of Investigation's looking for a prostitute. Like, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? So, but in my mind, I'm all, I took some pills and, I'm sleep deprived and, my mind wasn't right. So to me, it was just like, I start freaking out. So I start telling the African guy, like, I got to get out of here tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow. I got to get my baby. And he's like, bitch, what? He's like, your mom told you the FBI. It's funny thinking on it now because, of course, it sounds so insane. But I really believe, like, in my mind, like, they were dispatched looking for us. They sending out pictures, posters, because I'm not in my right mind. So he's like, bitch, the FBI's looking for you. He's like, now remember, this guy's older. He got more sense than me. He's like, bitch, she's just bluffing. She's just trying to get you to say something, She's probably just worried. Like, bitch, the FBI has not been dispatched to look for you and the baby. No offense. Y'all just not that important. And I didn't really give a fuck what he was talking about. All I knew is I got to get to my baby. I'm not with my baby. I haven't seen her in a few days. Like, I need to go to be with my daughter. And so he said he was going to give me some money. And the fuck? I was like, okay, well, I'm about to leave. He's like, oh, no, what are you leaving for? I went off. I was like, look, you said you was going to give me some money. So run me my motherfucking money. Didn't I give you some pussy? Like, ain't nothing free, nigga. You know what I'm saying? He gave me the money. I bounced. So I went to the girl's house because she had been texting me, and she said what she did was, once she knew I wasn't coming back, of course nobody wants to be in a fucked up situation like that by themselves. I'm sure that's why she drugged me along in the first place. So she set him up. She got him upset but called the police to come there because he already had 2 strikes. So she got him upset and the police came in and arrested him. And it was to the point to where she was texting me like, hey, bitch, he's arrested. You don't even have to worry about him. She was like, I got your baby shit. Like, I got y'all IDs and y'all social and birth certificate. I got y'all stuff. I didn't believe this bitch. Because at this point, I can't believe anybody. I can't assume because y'all don't understand how tricky this game is if you've never been in it. And once you're in it, you're not getting out unless it's by death. You feel me? Or you run away. Or you just die. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not about to get out of it because you're about to be like, well, this isn't really for me, so I'm putting in a 2-week notice. Like, that nigga will kill you. Like, y'all don't even understand, just the fear, just every day, just being fearful. And I can't, like, I went to the police another time. When I got out of jail, I went to the police another time, and I told them, I just got out of jail. I'm trying to get home to my baby. I've been trying to get home to my daughter all day when I got out of jail. That's why I ended up walking 2-3 miles to get to her. Because one thing about me, if I go somewhere one time, I remember it. And that's just a thing about me, because you never know when you have to go back somewhere, and you just need to know shit by memory. You feel me? So if I go somewhere one time on the bus or whatever, I know how to get there from that one time. And so I just remembered how to get there, and I got to her. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm trying to get a ride to her. I'm trying to get to her. And I went to these police, and it was 2 cops. It was a rookie and a vet. And I was like, listen, I got out of jail. I'm trying to get away from this pimp. I'm trying to get my daughter, get away, because I still had my apartment at the other place. This pimp didn't know that about that apartment. The other one did. And mind you, when I went to jail, I even called the first pimp Because you get one phone call, and remember I told you that girl ingrained, Bianca had ingrained the number in my mind. I remember I even called the first pimp. They said they was going to bail me out, and they didn't. Um, so then now, here are the police, someone that's supposed to help you. They're supposed to help you. That's your fucking job, is to help the people, especially when some illegal shit is going on. And I'm like, I need help. I need to be dropped off. So you could tell one was a rookie. He just was younger. He was a rookie. And then the other was the seasoned veteran cop. And so the veteran cop was like, well, what's his name? And I didn't know my pimp's name. I knew his nickname. So I gave him a nickname, and I just gave him like the best description I could or whatever, like I don't really know much about this nigga. And so I remember he was like looking him up in his little police computer. So then the vet cop asked me like, oh, you said you're a prostitute, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, how much do you charge? And I'll never forget that rookie cop looked at him like, it was like one of them classic good cop, bad cop type of moments. And when he said, how much do you charge? He was like, he was serious. Like, and I remember being like, I remember thinking at that very moment, he's not going to help me. He's not going to help me because he just wants to fuck me. You know what I'm saying? And I've already been fucked and screwed and this and that. And now I'm going to the police, the law, and you want to fuck me too? You want to fuck me over too? You want to come on me too? It's like you start to just, that shit changes your perception of people. You feel me? And yeah, that was just a side note for y'all. But anyway, I left from the African guy's house. I went to the madam's house. My mom, of course, showed up with theatrics with my sister's father at the time, who was alive. And I didn't know my mom was gonna, like, I told her where I was, but I didn't really know what was going on. She was sending me these cryptic texts like, I'm on my way up there with the police. And I'd just be like, okay, like, what? Like, I just knew she was on her way to just get my daughter, but that was it. And so when she got up there, she did come up there with one police officer and my sister's father. And when she seen me, it broke her heart. And I don't think I could imagine, like, my daughter selling her body, you feel me? And I go to get her and she looks like fucking trash. So she gave me an option, okay? She was like, you can stay here, or you could come with me. I'm sorry. I don't really think about this a lot. But I left. And I never looked back. And I have had to sell my body since then. Not recently or anything, but in 2012, after I came out here, my high school sweetheart left me high and dry and married another bitch and all that jazz. And I was just going through some hard times. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have food stamps, cash aid. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything, but I had this kid that I had to feed. You feel me? I had this little girl. I had to feed her. And I turned 2 tricks. And the first guy, he was alright. The second time, it was crazy because I met him on the chat line. Now we have apps. The chat line still exists, but before we had POF and Grindr and all that, we had the motherfucking chat line, okay? You call this number, and every state has their own chat line, and that's how you would meet niggas and do shit, whatever. So I was on the chat line, and so this guy's like, he's looking for, some pussy, and I needed some money, so we had made a deal. I was gonna do whatever for $50, okay? Not, in and out. So he picked me up, and it was kind of like with the first pimp. Like, this guy picked me up. I believe he had like two guys in the car, but I don't remember us like doing anything in the car. But he took me to a bando. I didn't know it was a bando. I had been in Baltimore maybe 6 months. So, and at this point, I was living over on Riggs Avenue. Yeah. So I didn't even know how dangerous the neighborhood was. I was in. I was over on Riggs. Was at Riggs and Poplar Grove. Yeah. And Emerson over there. So we go to the bando, and it was like one of them bandos with them spiral steps, okay? One of them apartments. And we go in the basement, and it was like 4 guys, 5, 6 guys. It's funny the shit you can put out your mind. And one guy was just kind of like regulating, watching. And they gangbanged me too. But I just always remember this one guy. He seems just like shyer. He was probably like 19, 18, 19. I was like 22 at the time. And I remember, man, they kept trying to force him. Fucker, you don't like pussy. And it was like, why are you trying to get this guy to fuck me in front of these other guys? It was just a weird thing. I just remember they really wanted this guy. Like, I don't know if he was a virgin or what. And I remember, like, he was trying to have sex with me. He was just so uncomfortable. And after, I remember they gave me the $50 and he left. So at this time, this is before Uber and Lyft and all that. We just had the hacks. In Baltimore, you put your finger out, and that means you try and catch a hack. Somebody will, the car pull over, you'll tell them where you want to go, you give them some money, like ghetto Uber. So I caught a hack back home. Actually, I caught a sedan service. Back home. I wasn't far, and there's that Hip Hop Chicken, and it's open 24 hours a day. And I remember when I was in the car, I looked at the 50 and I immediately could tell it was fake. And so I done been to this nigga's house. They gangbanged me, which is not what I signed up for. But that just comes with the territory sometimes. Like, what are you going to do when you're in a house with 5 niggas? And you came to fuck, Maybe on the phone I didn't say I was going to do that, but man, once you're in it, like I said, you're in it. And that's why bitches be dying and coming up missing. It's just dangerous, And so I go into hip hop. I'm like, maybe they won't notice. It's a 50. Everyone's automatically going to look at it. So I go back in the sedan. I don't say shit to the driver. What am I going to fucking say? Mind you, it's like 2, 3 in the morning, and my baby's at the house. My baby not with me. She's asleep at the house. You feel me? And I was renting a room for these lesbian bitches. And I'll never forget, like, I was tricking because I had to. Like, that was the only way I was feeding her. Because I would go and steal food in the refrigerator to feed her. And I would hear the couple upstairs fighting, thinking each other ate the last or something. The whole time I'm stealing their food to feed my baby. You feel me? It was just like a real bad time for me. And so I remember when I got back in front of the house, I gave the girl the 50 that was driving the sedan. So she was driving, and then if it was a woman, they usually have like a male somebody in the passenger seat, just making sure no one tries to attack her, rob her, or anything. And so when I gave her the 50, I just casually walked to the house, and she honked. So I go back down like, yeah. She like, bitch, just a fake 50. So at that point, I just came clean. I'm like, listen, I got in some shit tonight. You feel me? And I got some fake money. As you could tell, I'm not even from here. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Like, what else am I going to do? So the driver was kind of looking at her like, So it's like a little corner store right there where all the D-boys and shit be at. So she was like, Oh, well, she was like, the police are right there. So either I'm going to tell the police that you gave me counterfeit money, or I'm going to drive around this block and you're going to try to wash this money out with these drug dealers. At this point, I'm just like, am I in a Lifetime movie? Like, what's happening here? Because, bitch, what you mean wash the money out? Like, I just didn't know what to do. Like, and mind you, I have only been in Baltimore like I hadn't even been in Baltimore a year. You know what I'm saying? I was maybe coming up on a year, and I didn't know how dangerous the city was. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. None of that. Y'all know how to turn a trick, but you got to remember, this wasn't, Baltimore's not my comfort zone. It was different when I was in LA, you know? So, um, I just remember I went in the store, I tried to buy something. Of course, he's like, no, it's a fake. So when I got back in the car, the driver just looked at her like, this girl is telling the truth. Like, you know how you could just tell, like, this bitch just got in some shit, let her go. So she took me back to the house, and I got out the car, and I remember that bitch said, and give me that 50. And I gave her the 50, and I went in the house, and I probably kissed my baby 10,000 times, because, like, I think like, when you be in these situations, like, I felt like, like, if something was to happen to me, like, who would know? Like, yeah, somebody would know. Like, of course, my mom would look for me, but I think because I'm older now, it's just like, wow, I really have done some shit where, I could have lost my life. And my heart goes out to, like, women that still have to deal with that, because, I had PTSD after that. I would have dreams that I was, like, tricked to get in the car and I was being taken back to LA. And it's hard, man. It's hard just thinking about that shit, and that's why I don't. But I know that my story needs to be heard. You know, it could be somebody that thinks that that shit is glorifying. I know we live in, like, different times where it's cool to be a side chick and cool to this and oh, fuck him and get him for the money and rob him and run his pockets. And but man, it was just an experience. You know what I'm saying? And it changed it definitely skewed my perception of men in a negative way, because obviously from them paying to have sex with me or whatever, it was situations like, it was this one guy, it was this Mexican guy, and it was kind of weird because he was youngish. I'm not saying that I didn't have young clients, but I feel like my clients would usually be like mid-30s. It would be kind of weird to get a guy in his 20s like, why are you buying pussy? It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? And so we were in, like, a laundry room somewhere, and I was giving him his head. I was giving him a blowjob, and his phone kept ringing off the hook. His bitch kept calling. And, I mean, a girl knows her nigga. So finally she picked up, and so I'm backing away, and he's like, oh, no, keep going. And while I'm sucking his dick, he's talking to his girl like, yeah, baby, I just got out the store. Baby, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm on my way. I love you. If I can see a nigga talk on the phone with his girlfriend while he's getting his dick sucked, that, of course, that's going to change my perception of men. Because I feel like that's just one of the lowest things I've ever seen a man do with, like, my own eyes, Um, that's some bullshit, but I'm definitely happy that I'm not in that life anymore. It is just dangerous, and I caution any woman to just never get into that mind a business. And if you do, you don't need a pimp. If you do, then just do it yourself. If you're going to go through all that, get all the money up front. You know what I mean? Always get your money up front. That's why the only time I didn't get my money up front, what happened? I got fake money. So that's why you got to do all that shit before. And, to women that are watching this and you have to do this, you're still actively stuck in this, like, man, just be safe. Be safe. Get tested. Wear protection. Look over your shoulder, like, and just by any means try to get out of it. I'm lucky I am a survivor of being sex trafficked. In the beginning, I didn't see it as being sex trafficked because I feel like I chose to do it. I chose to sell my pussy. But I feel like once I tried to leave, and then it was very clear that no, you have to, then it was like, okay, this has turned into something else. So in the beginning, I feel like it was a prostitution, and then it just led to being sex trafficked, to sex trafficking. Which is just crazy to even think that I've been through that, because this was just happened it feels like it happened such a long time ago. It was, it was about 12 years ago, but yeah, man, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful. I truly really never think about that time. I've really just erased it out of my mind. And there's so many other women's stories that I've heard were just way worse. And my pimp was actually nice in comparison to others, as crazy as that sounds. But after all that, I went to rehab, not because I had like a drug problem or anything like that, but I had no structure. I was just really just ripping and running the streets. And my sister's father had been to this rehab program like 10 years prior, and he was saying rehab provides structure. Like, I'm telling you, rehab will help her. So I went and I hated it at first, but they did provide me structure, and it did help. It definitely helped me to become the person that I am today. And man, I got friends in rehab. They didn't make it out, and I'm just happy that I got to share this story with you guys. Like I said, it is truly something I've really put in the back of my brain, but it's a lesson that I went through, and I just feel like somebody needs to hear it. I feel like now they glorify a lot of things. They glorify the stripping, and they glorify this, and even the stripping, you can't do that shit and not drink. Like, I may have not been like smoking crack or anything, but if my trick had drugs, I'm doing them. You know what I'm saying? If you had some coke, I'm sniffing it. You got this, I'm smoking it. You got this, I'm drinking it, because you got to do something to suppress it. It's the same at the strip club. You have to be drunk in some kind of way to do what you're doing. You can't do that type of shit sober because it's not natural. So I just want to thank you guys. I do. I want to thank you guys so much for just listening to me and allowing me to open up to you guys and kind of show you a different, more vulnerable side of me. I'm not really one for like crying and all that type of stuff. But, I mean, of course, this story took me there, so thank you guys. I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'll put my Instagram and Facebook information or whatever, all that jazz down, okay? All right, guys. Good night. Hey guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed listening to my experience with prostitution and sex trafficking. If you or anyone you know is currently going through this situation or any kind of domestic violence, abuse, or anything like that, please feel free to utilize the numbers that I have given in the link in my bio. I have given the numbers to the National Sex Trafficking or Human Trafficking hotline, as well as the suicide hotline, as well as the domestic violence hotline. I hope you guys don't have to use these numbers. But like I said, if you're in a bad situation or you know someone that's in one, please help save a life. Thank you guys for listening to my story, and I will see you guys next time.